So I'll give some context for people who were not here yesterday. Okay, this is such a ridiculous debate. I could barely even perceive it. Okay, I don't even understand. All right, basically the entire time, Counterpoints, friend of Destiny, ally of Steven, decides to defend the Alex Pretty shooting. And throughout this entire debate, you will hear some of the most unhinged arguments you will ever hear from a single person ever. All right? I have not heard arguments as repeated as the ones Connor have said in forever. All right? Have you noticed all of Connor's insults had to do with being female? He's a giant misogynist. Good point. But also, I'm not surprised. Of course he's a misogynist. It's Counterpoints.
The cops kept showing up over and over and over again, and they kept saying, hey, man, based off of how often you're getting your ass beat, you could prosecute these people either for battery or you could prosecute these people for assault. But the reason why the cops could never prosecute for battery is because he said that the battery was consensual. Okay, consensual battery is not prosecutable. You could do a fray if you wanted to, but realistically, you're going to make shit worse. Okay. Then you could also do assault. But the reason why they couldn't charge assault is because there's an internal component of assault, which is fear, an articulable emotion. And in 1610, assault 18 USC 351, subsection E, says merely by putting another in apprehension of harm, whether or not the actor actually intends to inflict it or is capable of inflicting said harm, does constitute assault. Yourself. Simple assault.
You're just, I'm asking whether or not this factual.
So in case you guys are curious what Counterpoints is trying to argue for here, Counterpoints is literally trying to argue that Alex Pretty was committing assault onto the police officers, which gave them justification to act in self-defense. In addition to that, right before the Alex Pretty shooting happens, there was a woman that was shoved to the ground that Alex Pretty was helping get up. He was also trying to justify that. So Counterpoints is basically trying to MAGA propaganda his way through this entire debate. Like he has been saying nothing but the most hardcore MAGA propaganda, and it is disgusting. All right? It is disgusting. All right, now let's take a look at how Connor eats boot, okay?
Circumstance that I laid out constitutes assault. That's what I want an answer to.
If I am in fear,
but
then
I'm not assuming that you're in fear. I'm asking, do the factual circumstance, I'm sorry, I'm not asking assuming that you are in reasonable fear. I'm asking,
I'm joking, but I'm extremely homophobic. If a man walks up and puts their hand on my belly, then, yeah, I might be afraid. Maybe they're trying to jerk me off or something. I don't know.
And what if they
maybe it's assault.
What if they put your hand on the shoulder? Hey, buddy, listen, those are my leaves.
Look, I have no idea why that came to him. Maybe it came to him in a premonition, in a dream, men jerking him off. I don't know where he got that hypothetical from, but,
Man, to get your attention, you have
the not so much.
Wait, you have the headphones, you're like, and you're like blowing. He's like, hey, buddy, those are my leaves. Assault?
Depends on how he grabs me. If he grabs me gently and he goes, hey, buddy.
So I think that
if he grabs me like this.
Also, nobody needed to know the way that Connor moans, okay? But we heard it just now. I wish the rest of us a good therapy session later.
Yes.
I think we have a gentle situation going on here. I think that's...
I think this is either pedantry or autism or defense lawyer brain or some shit, because I think you and I both know that they're going to be able to articulate 1610, 18 USC 351 subsection E, and or they're going to be able to articulate whatever, like 1510 subsection 111, and they'll be successful in that. And so you arguing, hey, Connor, are you personally afraid of grown men putting their hands on your bellies or your shoulder.
I don't know why he's saying this.
Once again, I think it's immaterial.
I don't know
think
why
it's
he said
totally
belly.
immaterial.
You want to get to the shots?
I want to get to the moments up to the shots because I want to go over the monkey fucking the football before said shots. But yes,
The monkey fucking a football before the shots? I don't know
technical
what you mean
term.
by that. What does that mean?
So can you imagine a monkey?
Yes.
Okay, now can you imagine a monkey trying to have sex with a football?
Yes.
Okay, now does his dick go
Why
into the
do you do this
football or
again?
does it like bounce around the football because he can't actually cram his penis into the football? Like does his erect penis like kind of just like slap around the exterior of the football?
No.
Why not?
Because I think
By the way, this is the same person, dude. I'm telling you, dude. This is the same person who is going after me for lolly. This is the same person who went after me for lolly. He's talking about how a monkey is fucking a football. He said that I was a sexual degenerate. What, like, can anybody, why, what, and how?
how I view, at least my initial
It's not a
feeling
Nerf
of
football.
sex.
It's a pigskin. It's a leather football. It's not a Nerf.
Yeah, I
He
guess
was,
how
he was not able to turn it into a homemade pocket pussy. It's
Do I
actually
even
just a leather football.
describe
I think
what
my
the
definition
lolly is descriptively,
or
or
how I conceive the concept of having sex with a football like implies some sort of orifice or some kind of like hole or penetrative act.
Let's say that you know how the football is like lemon shaped or whatever,
no?
and then you have like the stitches.
Yes, but
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, so he's trying to make that the hole, but the football is like too tight, and so he can't insert. There's no orifice.
The monkey or this
No, the monkey is
situation.
trying to have sex with the football, but the football doesn't have an orifice.
I'm lost. Is this like
Okay,
some
so yes, it's an absurd statement that I'm forcing you to expand upon because I need a break from serious shit.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So a monkey having sex
How do you even think of this with months therapy?
with a football. All right, it's a hard skin football. There's stitches in it, but he can't burst his penis into it. But he
Okay.
has an erect penis, so he's jamming his penis into the side of the football, and he's using his hand.
You know what this implies? This implies that Connor is either into footballs or he's into monkeys, okay? None of which is the ideal thing to be into. But you know what? I can respect someone's fetishes, all right? What you do in your bedroom is up to you and not up to me. Please do not tell me.
hands in order to try to have sex with it. But what's
Okay.
happening is his erect penis is bouncing off of it in every which direction because it's impossible.
Jonovic, okay? You're a mod. Okay? You're a mod in Destiny's chat, okay? What do you think of this? Thank you for the DKK50, though. I appreciate that. All right? But all I'm going to say is that this is some crazy shit, man.
To actually have sex with the football.
Got it.
Okay. And so therefore, when you see 6 men yanking a person in 6 different directions simultaneously, which is commonplace in arrests, especially
Wait. What happened? Whoa! What is it with these guys? What's going on?
Hey, he's gay. Look at him talking. He's gay. What the fuck? Why did they let these guys?
One of you has a better loot. Oh, he shit on me with a shotgun. That's all I know. Did you just Scuba stomped him?
He was so mad, bro. He was so fucking mad. I don't, bro. I don't. I would use it on him if I did, though, for sure. I just.
Bro, the guy was shouting at me. I didn't even do anything, though.
Man, that was so fucking funny listening to that, dude.
Dude, he was so mad.
when law enforcement officers are bad at communicating, it is akin to a monkey trying to have sex with a football because they're all trying to do something, but they're horrifically failing in said endeavor. And that's what I'm trying to communicate.
Okay, got it. So we're about to watch some like horrible misconduct, is what I'm hearing, like some irresponsible bullshit.
It's not misconduct any more than a monkey trying to have sex with a football is misconduct. It's just actually like sheer incompetence or stupidity that is actually very common.
Well, is sheer irresponsibility not misconduct?
No. Well, because basically when it comes to apprehending somebody in a 6-person scramble, that's a very difficult thing to do unless you actually practice as a team.
Okay. So let's take a look, shall we? Alrighty.
The ground. Pretty steps between
So this is the assault.
her and the agent who'd shoved her, briefly putting his hand on the agent's waist. The agent pepper sprays
That was the assault.
Preddy's face. We can see Preddy is still holding his phone in one hand, while holding his other hand up to
Obviously, he's not trying to slap. Okay, all right. Is this what he means by like putting his hand on his belly? Is that really? Wait, is this what Connor meant by putting the fucking hand on his belly? Is that why he keeps on bringing that up? Wait, what? Wait, why did he compare Alex Preddy to like a gay man? Is it just because he's not muscular? Like, oh. What is going on? Why is he thinking like this? Why is he so retarded?
protect himself against the spray. Contrary to statements by federal
Yeah, he's assaulting him.
officials,
He just got a face full of spray, multiple spray. Got it.
he's made no threatening movements towards agents.
This is an
I mean,
AI
this New York Times
summary?
guy's, like,
no,
lying,
I don't
right?
think so. I think
No.
this is New York Times.
What I would say is that we have to get into continuum of force earlier, and I asked you a question earlier, and I think you said that you weren't aware of the continuum of force. So passive, active, violent, non-lethal, and violent. Okay, are you familiar with these categories at all?
Generally, yes, but maybe not in the way that you're using them. I've seen the graph before where it shows the different, like it shows the different colors. So if that's what you're referring to, I'm familiar with that, but I wouldn't be able to give you like more of like, I don't know if I could be perfect in my recall of what is under which color.
I would like to articulate this concept because it's important for our understanding of what happens next. So passive resistance is just standing there, not moving. Okay. So for instance, if you have protesters sitting on a highway and a law enforcement officer orders them to move and they refuse to move, that's passive resistance. Okay. At that point, you can do two things. You can go hands-on or you can pepper spray someone. Okay. Then active is somebody's trying to pull away, meaning that let's say that you grab their arm and their elbow. The mere act of trying to draw your arm away from a law enforcement officer in order to evade being handcuffed, that's considered active. Also, even balling up and bringing all your limbs, while it's a very natural instinct, balling up and bringing all your limbs into a position of cover and ignoring lawful orders is also considered active resistance. Okay?
Okay, so
now,
at this point, is he actively resisting?
No, I would say he's passively resisting.
Okay, has this...
And passive resistance justifies shooting him? It justifies a reasonable level of imminent threat, or like what's going on here? Like, why is it that you're saying this?
Cop even attempted to arrest him?
No, but he's going to.
But then how is he even resisting anything?
So this is the calculation, okay? The calculation is this guy has involved himself in the arrest, and then therefore, off of that, my understanding of the statute, he's subject to detention under either 1610, 18 USC 351E, or he's liable for detention under.
Yeah, but
whatever.
have they attempted to initiate a detention?
They're initiating it now.
Well,
they're initiating
then
with
what justifies
what?
the use of pepper? Are you allowed to?
Yeah, why the fuck was he pepper sprayed if they're trying to initiate detention? Was he resisting with his aura? Man, are auras a thing? Like, can someone have so much aura that someone can feel threatened? Actually, I don't even know why I'm questioning if this exists, because it totally does. Someone can definitely have a threatening aura, right? Damn, can you imagine having such an aura that is so threatening that, like, 6 fucking ICE officers find it threatening? Dude. Fucking domain expansion.
Use pepper spray every time you want to arrest someone?
No, but the mere fact that he was pepper spraying the lady is passive because she's disobeyed lawful orders, and then this dude's committed a crime, so he can do whatever he needs to in order.
You know what the truth is? The truth is that a lot of cops and a lot of ICE agents are fundamentally super insecure, okay? If they actually felt secure in themselves and they had confidence in themselves, they wouldn't be resorting to like such violent tactics so often. All right? That's the truth. There's absolutely no fucking way in hell that you're gonna tell me that these people are secure in their masculinity when they're walking around with like fucking AKs or like with fucking like semi-automatic rifles or with like pistols like ready to draw or some shit like that. If like why not AKs? Okay, they're definitely not wearing AKs, but like again. All right, it's just like, dude, like it's the biggest fucking self-report ever. I get it, okay? Your fucking wife left you. All right, like what else, like what do you want from us?
Order to gain compliance.
Why can't he shoot?
Because there's not evidence of a deadly threat at this time.
So for example, could this guy like punch him in the face?
Yeah, he could go hands on. Yeah, he could shove him the same way that he shoved her.
Okay. And
it's good tactics to give a lawful command. So for instance, like as a matter of fact, it might even be required in some jurisdiction. So he would have to give like a law.
It can be required in some jurisdiction. They're federal agents, Connor. They're federal agents. Why not just refer to the federal way of looking things?
Lawful order that's
all this tells us cops
first,
haven't given too much leeway.
Right?
Yes.
So
correct.
for instance, and that could even be like a policy violation that he could be held accountable for administratively. But effectively, like what would happen is, let's say that dude like walks up and hits me in the chest. This is the ideal. The ideal is, hey sir, you just committed battery on a law enforcement officer or assault on a law enforcement officer, depending on whatever. You're under arrest. Go ahead and turn around and place your hands behind your back. That's the ideal. Okay.
Yeah.
But what's happening now?
So I'll just be clear. This is not excessive force, correct?
I don't. If you're articulating assault, then no.
Well, I don't grant that, but they haven't even tried to. You're saying any assault?
They haven't granted a lawful. They haven't given the man a lawful order, and therefore he would potentially be liable for administrative sanction. If the admin doesn't, if ICE doesn't like him.
But no, okay, but this is an objectively reasonable use of force. You're saying under the Fourth Amendment, it's not excessive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
And that's because even though he's not resisting, you agree at this point he's not resisting, correct?
But he's like the way that they would articulate it again. I would say Jesus hates a pussy. Well, I think Jesus hates a pussy. But it's like, oh, well, he walked up to me in violation of 1610, 18 USC assault or whatever. I was in imminent fear of harm. Therefore, to reduce the chances of everybody getting hurt or killed, I deployed OC pepper spray in order to gain compliance from multiple subjects that were around me.
And you would believe that?
Dude, for the sake of this, I've already tried to differentiate between what I would do and what I believe, but I think it's confusing the conversation. So I'm just going to go off of what an officer can articulate and get away with in court, because at the end of the day, like that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, but that's your Mott and Bailey, right? Like whenever you're feeling pressed or you're getting pressured on, then you're going to retreat back to your Mott, which is like deferring to what they can get away with. Also, the fact that you're concerned with like how much an officer could get away with shows your way of thinking, okay? You're not thinking of, oh, this is what an officer should do. This is what an officer like is not allowed to do. Instead, you're thinking, well, what can the officer get away with? This betrays your thinking, okay? Your thinking is fundamentally bootlicker, okay? Because you were once the boot that was licked, and now you have become the bootlicker, all right? You're self-reporting, Connor.
So your belief is whatever an officer could get away with, that's your position?
Well, for the sake of this conversation, it is now, because I try to be nuanced and I feel like it dragged us down.
Well, no, I'm just trying to ask. I agree that you're allowed to say what they would say. I thought you agreed that it would be okay for me to ask then what you would say. But now you're saying that it's not okay.
What I would say is I was a cop for 4 years. I never used OC pepper spray.
You must be a really shitty cop then.
But do you think it's an objectively reasonable and not excessive force?
I think, yeah.
Okay.
We can see Preddy is still holding his phone in one hand, while holding his other hand
Performance
up
needed?
to protect himself
Okay.
against the spray.
But that's if you assume. Look, MVTT. I hope you're right, but I don't think Connor means like, oh, this is how much cops can get away with, and therefore we need reform, right? Otherwise, he would have already said that. He's been so pressed this entire time. Like, this guy is like the most pressed motherfucker on planet Earth right now. If he's been so pressed, he would have already said like, oh, well, and this is exactly why I think that we need reform for cops so that they get less protections. Like, I just can't imagine the person who is like a former cop saying that.
And this other spray is justified in virtue of what?
Gaining compliance.
Connor. What the fuck is wrong with you?
But he's already sprayed him.
What's that?
He's already sprayed him right in.
Did you just?
You would spray someone to gain compliance? Is that how that shit works?
Just unironically pause like a second and a half after and say, why is he still spraying?
Yeah.
Okay, we've been over the action reaction gap. I'm not going to do it again.
Contrary to statements by federal officials,
All right,
he's
Connor.
made no threatening movements towards agents.
And at this point, they're trying to arrest him. And that's the lawful basis
Correct.
of-
They're forcing him to the ground and attempt to detain him. Yes.
Okay.
Preddy, who had a firearms permit, carries a gun holstered on his right hip, but he doesn't reach for it. And it appears agents are
So at this point, there's distance between them, right?
Yeah.
unaware the gun.
And he sprays again. This is after the second spray.
Whoa, it's to gain additional compliance. Don't you know? It's to gain additional compliance.
That I said he's continuing to
Okay.
spray.
Are they surrendering? Are they gaining compliance?
Well, I don't know how you could tell because they've been sprayed. Are you saying that they should have just like not moved at all and just stopped where they are after getting a face full of pepper spray?
I don't think it's reasonable to expect them to do so. But yeah, I think that. So let's talk about ideal versus. Let's talk about.
I didn't know about the multiple sprays. Yeah, it's already bad enough. But like, well, I mean, typically we don't need to talk about the multiple sprays because we should just focus on the gunshots, right? But the multiple sprays is also really, really bad. Like, now that I'm looking at it, I didn't even know about that either. I think that I think that when it comes to counterpoints, you need to go over every single fucking step of this. Otherwise, he's gonna weasel his way out of everything. The fact that he said additional compliance shows me that I would question Connor's history as a cop. Like, I would, like, based off of the way that he's talking about this, I have no idea what his history is as a cop, but I would be skeptical of the way that he conducted himself on the field.
Ideal versus actual. Okay. The same way, and I've already said this in my
don't
own
like it.
chat and my own coverage or whatever, is that we give law enforcement a broad degree of deference and latitude when it comes to split-second decisions in the heat of the moment, which is going to cover a lot of what we're talking about in the next like 10 seconds of video. Okay. I think that reasonable officers, and I'm not saying objectively reasonable, I'm saying overly reasonable. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm an overly reasonable and unreasonable man, depending on the topic. Okay. I'm about above average for reasonable. When you're getting pepper sprayed in the face, your instinct is not to, immediately go, oh, okay, you got me. I'm going to surrender now. I'm going to put my hands up.
Yeah,
Your
so why is he
instinct
spraying
is
again?
to scream and to cry and to put your hands over your face.
Right. So why
and
is he
try to
continuing
swat away
why is he
pepper spray.
continuing to spray then?
And that spray is supposedly meant for dispersing large crowds, not hitting one guy point blank in the face. Okay, I didn't know about that. If true, then yeah, that's additional like fucking self-cuckery that Connor is exhibiting.
Because he's going to say in his report that, they didn't
Dude, nobody cares about the police report. I hate the fact that Connor constantly brings up like what the fuck he's gonna say in the police report. Nobody cares about his excuses. All right? To me, it's all about what happens from our perspective, how the situation has played out. I don't care about what kind of sweeping he has to do for himself and to get out of a criminal situation, okay?
immediately comply to lawful orders. Therefore, I continue to spray in order to gain
It's,
compliance.
it's
But
so
you're saying that you
stupid.
could not
What's the
reasonably-
point of
Compliance
talking
more
about this?
easy for apprehending officers immediately afterwards.
God, Connor's just such a
But
bootlicker, dude.
They're not
Ugh.
acting in an uncompliant manner right now. They just sprayed them in the face.
Okay, what did I
and they're-
what did I tell you about passive resistance and active
So I
resistance?
call it excessive.
That
Self-cock
they're
rate,
different,
true.
and that
I
one
guess so.
involves if you're just like standing still, it's passive.
And a Republican? Yeah, but the Republicans are fucking dead. He's just anti-Trump. He said he would vote for JD Vance because he probably wants Warhammer 40k IRL because he's so fucking stupid. And he's like a fucking 13-year-old child. Maybe that's why he likes talking about lolly so much.
Passive. If you're in the middle of the highway, it's passive.
Well, I mean, you don't have to be in the middle of the highway, but yeah, if you okay, bye. Sorry, 1 second. I opened up my chat.
What I
again.
do?
It's not you.
Oh,
Wait, what?
Somebody else. Don't worry about it. I was coming
He's
back to check
he's
and see if my
malding.
chat was being soy, and some
He's
people are being
malding.
soy in good faith, and some
He's
people are being soy in
malding.
bad
He's
faith. So,
malding.
because there's
Malding.
there's the initial spray.
Maul
Right?
alert.
There's the
Maul
initial spray. He
alert.
has out spray,
But he
and then he grabs his arm to spray him
Reach for
again, and you're like, oh, action, distinction. Then
it
he
appears
finishes spray,
agents
backs up, takes a moment,
are unaware
and then
Malding,
sprays
dude.
again. And so like,
His
what's
chat
the
is making
basis
fun
of
of
that
him.
spray?
okay, because when you're at passive and active resistance, okay, do you think that Mr. Alex and this lady, do you think that they could reasonably believe that they're under detention right now?
They could believe it, or would they? What do you want to ask?
I would say, is it reasonable to believe that they're under detention right now?
What the fuck?
Not yet, no.
Why not?
Because detention usually involves
Rat.
a seizure of some kind with the intent to make them sort of
Never
be
mind.
detained. And there are many instances in which a reasonable person would not feel that their freedom of movement
Double
is
rat.
restricted just
Okay,
because
nice,
they're
good
applying
one.
like
Good memes.
aerosol things. And in fact, you distinguish between them. Disbursement from, and so I don't think that everyone who is sprayed.
Double rat. Of
But I
course,
know
double
that.
rat.
I don't think a lot of civilians know
Double
that.
rat.
But you
Of
think
course
that just
double
being
rat.
sprayed makes it you detained?
I think it's reasonable to believe that you're probably on the cusp of being detained.
Well, then he's not under the reasonable
fuck?
belief that he's detained yet. If it just means that on the cusp.
Okay, let me just articulate the ideal and then we can move on.
You know what this sounds like to me? It sounds like to me that Connor is like trying to articulate the way that he would make excuses for his own actions. Make sense? Like the way that Connor's talking right now and the way that he's trying to grasp onto straws and to like see what shit sticks to the wall tells me that when he was a cop, probably like he was also thinking of excuses to write into his police report, and that was the only thing that matters, right? For him, at the very least. Like that, in my opinion, is also like very telling. I don't know. Like I like normally I wouldn't make like analysis like this, but just like how I can conclude a YouTube lawyer is like absolute dog shit. Like I feel like I can also conclude that this fucking YouTube cop is also dog shit, right? Like just because you were in that field doesn't mean you were a good person in that field. Don't the police need to inform the person is being detained or arrested? Yes. Yeah, you're under arrest. Yes. That's a legal statement. That's something you have to give. You're under arrest.
Okay. So the ideal would be put your hands up. You're under arrest.
That's not heard yet. Yeah, that's not.
That would be the ideal.
Yeah, but we don't hear that.
And then if those people put their hands up, we're done. No more pepper spray, no more beating, no more nothing, because you can secure their arms, put them arms behind the back, put their hands behind their back, wrap them up in handcuffs and walk them out, right? Whereas if they're going, "Ah," and you're
They just
saying,
got sprayed.
put your
Well, why are they going like in your like fucking like why are they doing that? Why do you think they're doing that? Maybe because yeah, exactly. Pisco's right. Maybe it's because they got fucking sprayed. You fucking inbred bootlicker.
hands up. You're
You
under
disgusting
arrest.
fucking moron.
Even if you and
You absolute fucking reprehensible piece of shit.
I can agree that that's unreasonable to expect pepper sprayed people to behave rationally immediately under lawful commands, it's still going to be considered passive or active resistance.
So they're resisting right now. What are they resisting?
They would be potentially resisting detention, particularly if they're receiving lawful orders.
But we don't hear any lawful orders, and we have the audio.
Correct. And as a result, if the cops did not give lawful orders, but pepper sprayed them anyways, or tried to grab them anyways, then what's going to happen is they would be liable for an administrative sanction if it was argued in front of that they violated policy by not giving lawful orders to people that they continued to beat. But there's also going to be a reasonability here. Yeah. And the reasonability is going to go back to the civilian, where effectively it's like, if I'm
just going to tell you this right now, Connor. Nobody gives a flying fuck about whether or not it was legal, okay? The court case can go either way. Obviously, I'll still care about the result because I want justice to be done. Also, there's not going to be a court case if the people get away with the fucking crime, all right? We don't know the names of any of Alex Pretty's fucking murderers in broad daylight. We don't know the names of any of these guys, right? We don't even know if there's going to be a court case. Also, I guarantee you, even if they were identified and arrested, I absolutely fucking guarantee you that Trump is going to pardon them, okay? Or something of that sort.
I'm just going to say it. If a cop walks up and pepper sprays me in the face, I'm going to assume that I'm being detained because...
Okay.
No. Stop. If a cop pepper sprays me in the face, I'm going to assume that motherfucker didn't have sex for like 3 years, okay? If a cop pepper sprayed me in the face, I would assume that person is probably an asthma gold watcher, all right? That's what I would assume, all right? I wouldn't assume I was being detained. I would be assuming that he's taking out his problems, his personal life issues out on me, all right?
A cop is walking up and pepper spraying me in the face. If you want to say that in the heat of the moment, it's not reasonable for or it could be a dispersion. Therefore, maybe I could just start walking away. Well, at that point, yeah, sure, maybe. But there's going to be a little bit of heat of the moment deference that's paid to the people. After an extended period, there's going to be a moment at which they're going to say it's no longer reasonable to believe that you're free to go.
There has no statute of limitations. Yeah, but
at this point, how would these people act? What would they have to do to not resist these two people?
Throw their hands up. Throw their hands up and basically stop moving.
Okay, you think that is reasonable to expect them to do? And anything?
No. But I'm not talking about legal reasonability. I'm talking about like human reasonability. When you're pepper spray.
Wait. You think it's reasonable to detain them? Under what grounds? Under what grounds? Under what fucking grounds? You fucking pathetic bootlicker. You absolute fucking cunt. On what grounds?
Right in the face, I don't think it's reasonable to instinctively just throw your hands up in the air.
Okay, so then therefore, by that logic, right? Assume that they saw the gun at this point. They're spraying. It's a guy who, in your mind, is resisting.
Why are you presuming that they've seen the gun?
I'm just trying to test your principle and your principle, right? I'm testing. Is that okay to do, or do you not want me to ask this question?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. I don't care.
So, assume, for the sake of this hypothetical, that they saw a gun at this point after they sprayed him. It would be your belief that an armed person with a gun is actively resisting the officers.
Yeah.
Okay. And so why wouldn't you be allowed to shoot him?
You might be. Depends on whether or not that hand goes near that gun.
Assume it doesn't.
Then I don't think that would be objectively reasonable.
So it's not enough for an armed person to resist officers to know that it's justified to shoot them, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And is even there.
Okay. At this point, I think it's reasonable to believe that you're being seized. Okay.
Sure.
That's great. If we're 2 seconds apart and now you think it's reasonable to believe that they're being seized, then that's fine.
Okay.
Imagine a monkey.
I'm gonna be
I don't know
what? That's fucking great.
I don't know.
I'm happy we can finally agree on something.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not hiding the ball. I'm just giving you my opinion. What I'm going to be looking for, though, is the wrestling. Because you agree we haven't seen any wrestling yet, correct?
Correct.
He reaches toward the protester.
And is this wrestling, him trying to get this woman up?
I don't think so.
Apparently trying to help
All right.
her up, while agents begin grabbing him from behind.
At this point, the officers are pinning him down to the ground, correct? And I think this is
Well,
the
I don't think he's
officer-
down on the ground yet,
Well, he's
and
about
this
to
is
be.
where we're going to get into wrestling. So one of the things that was pissing me off that was kind of soy is that losing a fight that's 6 versus 1 doesn't somehow grant you carte blanche to do whatever the fuck you want. Okay.
Agreed. Yeah.
So ideally, in this situation, okay, if you want to say there's no, and by the way, I'm going to say this again, even though nobody's going to hear me say it, I'm going to say it again. Okay.
Yep.
If we are granting officers broad latitude during heat of the moment scenarios, then officers need to grant civilians the same level of grace in heat of the moment scenarios. And you cannot expect that pepper spraying and beating the fuck out of somebody is going to result in them instantaneously going, "Oh, I just surrender. I surrender. I surrender."
I appreciate
now that's
that,
going to happen. I'm going to do that because I don't want to get fucking shot. But I'm a former law enforcement officer. So I have a lot of knowledge about how these scenarios are evaluated from a law enforcement use of force perspective. But I don't think it's reasonable to expect a layperson with no legal background, no law enforcement background, no use of force background, no force background whatsoever. I don't think it's reasonable to expect them to do that.
Right now, they're in agony. You think that's a fair characterization?
Yes.
Okay. So these people who are in agony, who have just been sprayed and are being forced on the hard pavement, you would apply some grace to them. Fair?
Yes.
Okay.
He tries to pull away.
And this pulling away thing, that could be an action to give him relief for his agony, right? But it's not clear that they're...
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But, okay, if the narrator, I'm presuming the narrator is referring to Mr. Preddy. Okay, I'm presuming.
Yeah.
And so at that point, we've moved from passive to active at this point. And at active, not only can you do hands-on, not only can you fight, you can also do pepper spray and you can do taser. Now, I don't even know if ICE has tasers. But the point is that we're moving our way up the force continuum, and this is evolving in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, but who is the person? Okay, which side? Which side is escalating? Which side is escalating? My God. Like, of course, there's only one side that's escalating, right? Is the ICE. What is Alex Preddy doing, like, to escalate? Like, what's going on?
Okay.
And again, he makes no threatening movements towards the agents.
You would agree with that characterization?
From a lay definition, yes.
Is there a more technical definition?
Resisting
Yeah, bro's
arrest
gonna need a defib
by
in a bit.
itself could be viewed as a red flag or yellow flag for intent. Okay? But I agree that based off of from a lay perspective, the body language of this guy, evaluating this as somebody who doesn't have that much autism, it does not look like his intent is to harm the officers.
And a reasonable officer would see that.
Maybe.
In virtue of what would they not see it? Maybe perhaps because the officer's not looking at him.
As you're climbing up,
the officer who's going to shoot, you'll see, isn't going to be looking at him. Okay. And that's a big problem for you, isn't it, Connor?
Hold on. No. But I need you and I need the audience to hear this. Moving up the force continuum from interjecting yourself into the scenario to being passive to resisting actively.
What?
Like drawing in and firing a weapon takes like less than a second for trained shooters or whatever. So that is where moving up the continuum of force is going to be a yellow flag or red flag. So I can say that based off of body language and his actions, I believe that this is a man trying to defend a woman who doesn't have ill intent towards law enforcement. That doesn't mean that other law enforcement officers are evaluating the same way, or that my read on body language could be held as objectively reasonable.
Jeffrey Epstein.
And but you would agree, at this point, what matters is what the officer who shoots perceives, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But agents pull him backwards and force him to the ground. Then shots ring out.
The breakdown for this is going to be insanely important.
Things down so each moment is clear. Here is Preddy. Several agents are restraining him, and this is the Border Patrol agent who will shoot him first.
So he's not even looking at him, right?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he's
My bad.
attempting to assist
My
with
bad.
the detention of the female.
Right. So to the extent that he's resisting in the ways that we're describing, he's not perceiving it, right? So he can't take it into account. Agreed?
Sure. I don't. Yeah. Let's just say yes for now, and I'll object if I need to. He can still hear a scuffle behind him. He can still like if he hears I surrender. That's obviously going to be contextually evaluated separately.
The guy has
from,
a face.
Sorry, I thought that person was Alex Preddy. My bad.
like obviously, right?
Yeah, but the guy could be screaming because, I don't know, he has a fucking face full of bear mace or whatever the fuck they use.
Which doesn't tell you whether or not he's actively actively or passively resisting. You don't understand. People with a face full of bear mace can and do pull and fire guns, right?
I agree that they could and do, but the question is what the basis is for this officer to make a conclusion that this man is a qualifying threat. But you can't take into account things he didn't perceive. Agreed? Or at least things he wouldn't have any awareness of. Yeah.
What?
Sure, but the thing that I'm objecting to is you're saying 0 awareness. I'm saying 8% awareness, 10% awareness.
I mean, is aware that they're
due to hearing.
He must be aware that they're effectuating an arrest, but he's not aware of like what's happening there. And
Yeah, but I mean, they never said you're under arrest, right? Like, why the fuck? Like, how could you say anything about this if you don't even say the words? You don't even say the words you're under arrest. Like, where is it?
so your whole thing about wrestle, the right to wrestle, that was stupid to post that, right? Because I mean, even from this,
No, it's not at all. And I think you just don't understand what words mean. So I'm sorry. So hold on. If I'm wrestling somebody to the ground and I'm winning and I'm pinning them to the ground, but they're 90% pinned, but
Yeah, but Alex Preddy was not wrangling the cops, right? Like he wasn't like trying to get his hands onto the cops and trying to throw them down, right? Like in a situation where Alex Preddy wins some kind of hand-to-hand struggle, like he's not going to be pinning the cop to the ground, right?
they're resisting me. Are we still wrestling?
Well, I'm just
like at what point during a Greco-Roman wrestling match, like sufficiently before the pin, because the pin is the end of.
I mean, is he a wrestling fucking participant through non-consent? Is it like a one-way consensual wrestling match? Like, what the fuck?
The match, right? At what point does a Greco-Roman wrestling match no longer become wrestling?
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not granting that he's resisting at all.
You should, just based off of the concept of passive and active resistance.
He's passively resisting by doing what? He doesn't even know that he's being detained. There's no guarantee of that. We can't ask him now because he's dead. Off of what? How could he how could he passively resist if he doesn't know that he's being arrested? Are you brain dead?
Yeah, so like I think that actions that are kind of involuntary and where there's at least the rationale related to dealing with agony, that resistance sort of implies some sort of volitional, intentional opposition to certain conduct. And I have no reason to believe that a reasonable officer would think that.
Let's plug that into the police calculator real quick. So this guy's in agony, so he's not resisting.
I don't have a basis to believe that this constitutes resistance as I understand it.
Wait. So hold on. So if he's in agony and he's not resisting, what can I do to him?
I think
based off of the use of force continuum.
No, I think that you're allowed to if you.
The answer is I can do nothing.
Well, hang on.
Therefore, your conceptualization is flawed.
Hang on. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that in this particular case, I'm not sure that he's trying to resist. I'm not sure that he's trying to resist. Unless you're saying
okay, but I think that you're using resist in a lay term and I'm using it in a technical term. You're saying that he doesn't have the intent to resist. Well, I'm saying based off of the use of force continuum, he's engaged in passive and active resistance.
What's the definition of passive resistance or active resistance?
Active is like pulling away.
All right, let's just say active.
He's not even was he pulling away?
resistance.
I would type in like passive, active, violent, non-deadly, and violent.
Bro, Connor's at his limit. You can tell. He knows he's wrong. He already accepted defeat in his heart. Pisco didn't even win the debate. Connor has defeated himself. There's no debate in the first place, okay? Connor came in as a contrarian, and Pisco just came in asking some extremely simple questions that literally anybody else would ask.
Let's take a look at
Good memes. Good
this
memes.
one from
Yeah, Connor hurt himself in the
Cambridge
confusion. Yeah.
Dictionary. This can't be right. We have to
Like, look at him. This guy is like in a daze. Like he's in active crash out mode right now.
go with like a police one, because the Cambridge one I think isn't correct. Because I think you'll reject it. The use of action, sometimes including violence, to show that you oppose something. I'm sure that's not right for this context. So police definition. Use of force.
No, Pisco isn't falling for it. Pisco is just trying to... He doesn't need to go bad faith. Pisco knows that Connor is like trying to grasp at straws. Pisco is just like I don't know, trolling him at this point.
Oh, well, why don't we do in Minnesota? I know it'll probably be like federal or whatever. It's whatever the fucking policy is. Active. This is the definition from St. Paul.gov. I don't fucking know what this is, but this is at least one from some police thing. The person's verbal or physical actions intended to prevent an officer from placing them in custody and rendering the situation safe, but are not directed at harming the officer. Examples include walking or running away, breaking the officer's grip, spitting. But intent is there. But we can
Where's
go to
the
a different
spitting?
definition as well. City of Bloomington. Let's see. Active
Exactly, Pisco is playing with his food.
resistance. A response to police efforts to bring a person into custody or control for detainment or arrest. A subject engages in active resistance when engaging in physical actions or verbal behavior reflecting an intention to make it more difficult for officers to achieve actual physical control. That has an intent component in it. Let's see.
Yeah, but hold on. That's an or thing. I wasn't even paying attention to what you were saying.
Oh.
You're saying, and once again, this doesn't make any fucking sense
pay
whatsoever,
attention,
Pisco.
damn.
Once again, I swear to God, you have fucking autism, okay? So hold on. If you're saying that there's an intent component to resistance, okay, that's what you just said to me.
What an officer would perceive, yeah.
Okay, so there's an intent component to resistance. Let's just presume that for a second. And let's say
What was
that I'm
Alex's
not only a
intent?
reasonable officer, I'm a above average reasonable officer. And so I believe that this guy just got pepper sprayed in the face, and therefore he needs a few seconds in order to take a bat so I can arrest him or whatever. That might be true. But am I going to take a pause?
No, I'm just trying to see.
In order to not grab his arm
I'm
or
not
his
saying
elbow?
that. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying your characterization of this as resistance isn't something I'm necessarily going to grant. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that you pistol whip a kid to arrest him, and let's say for whatever reason that's reasonable to do, and the kid starts crying. Oh, it hurts so bad, and you're trying to arrest it. Like when he starts crying and gripping his head and moving around because it's so much pain, would you consider that active resistance?
If he's pulling away from the officer, then it would fall into the definition you very much just read.
Okay.
Matter of fact, go
What?
ahead and read the one that you just read from Bloomington.
What?
Bloomington. Let's see. Bloomington.
Wait, did I just hear that? The kid, okay. If you pistol whip a kid and they made an instinctual response. Dude, two fucking of the same blueprint in one, Jesus. But they made an instinctual response. You're going to... What now? You're going to say the kid is resisting? He turtled because they were beating him? Yeah. Wouldn't that also be your instinctual reaction? Connor, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Bloomington Police Department. Active resistance, a response to police efforts to bring a person into custody or control for detainment or arrest. A subject engages in active resistance when engaging in physical actions or verbal behaviors reflecting an intention to make it more difficult for officers to achieve actual physical control. So the to make it more difficult.
You understand? You understand that we just did like the clausal argument earlier in this conversation, and then you said that a single adjective was translated by the Eighth Circuit in order to apply to all terms therein. The term forcible, and yet what's going on here is that there's a clause, and then there's or. And then you're applying intention to the totality of the sentence.
No, hang on.
I said don't shoot.
Yes, you are.
So
and also, it makes no fucking sense. So if somebody doesn't have the ability, so if somebody is engaged in active resistance but don't have the intention to, and then I translate to mean that they're not resisting. If they're not resisting, then I can't do anything to them. It makes no fucking sense.
Well, no, just because someone is not actively resisting doesn't mean you can't arrest them.
Hold on. So if passive, just standing there, okay? The dude is passive. I pepper spray the guy, but he just stands there, okay? Am I allowed to go hands-on?
I'm not sure. It depends on whether it's reasonable in the context. I'm not sure. It depends. That's the answer.
Okay,
I don't know why you're pissed at that.
Yes.
In every case?
The answer is yes. So the point is, like, you don't use force against people who are compliant. And yet you're saying that they can't use force in order to affect the arrest because the person is in agony, and because they're in agony, they don't have sufficient intent in order to actually resist.
Well, no,
it's like a self-defeating logic chain. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
I'm not saying that resistance is a precondition to doing an arrest. Did you hear me say that? I just don't think that they're necessarily resisting.
No, but I think once again, it's a matter of implication. So if this gentleman is not resisting at all, then at that point, why are the officers doing fucking anything?
Well, so presumably to effectuate an arrest, they're trying to arrest him. But I don't think that.
So why are they going hands on? Why are they? Are you allowed to grab somebody's arm or punch them in the face?
Well, yeah,
are you allowed to punch somebody in the face when they don't have the intent to resist?
I think all of this is excessive force because they haven't shown that this entire time. I think that this is basically they forced a situation, and this is all excessive force, and none of this is reasonable and none of it's lawful. That's my view. But I'm just in your fantasy world where this makes sense.
This isn't my fantasy world, and this is what pisses me off about this. I'm telling you that the intent does not determine. Like, so for instance, do you think a type 1 diabetic has the intent to commit battery against people?
No.
Like if they're hypo or hyperglycemic and they start hitting people or whatever, do you think they have the intent to do so?
Yeah.
What? Have you ever met somebody who's type 1 diabetic? What the fuck are you talking about? You think a type 1 diabetic wants to be violent and wants to fight people?
I think that we would, it's within their conscious object to do it. As we understand it.
They barely have a conscious object.
Okay, well...
They're barely there. They're effectively like they're just fight or flight on steroids. Right? Like there's no entity to...
Okay. Then what's with all the mentally, actually retarded people? What's with all the mentally retarded people that police killed them? Should we... Is it just simply okay? Just simply because they acted in such a way that frightened the mentally retarded person? Is it okay to kill them? Because they have a mental condition? Are you okay with that kind of world? Because I wouldn't be okay with that world. That sounds fucked up. Some people are just retarded. Like they genetically cannot comply in some ways, right?
Reason with. There's no entity to create intent.
Then I didn't know that. I mean, if you're really telling me that aliens control someone's body, then no, they wouldn't have the intent.
Okay, well, that's sufficient enough of an example for me that I no longer want to argue it. I want to move on. Because the thing about it is, you're saying that based off of your reading and understanding of the use of force doctrine of multiple localities, you believe that in order for police to use certain levels of force, there has to be an intent, and therefore, if the intent is not present,
fucking say
then
that.
you believe that it's excessive force because you believe all of this is excessive force.
No.
Whereas what I'm saying is intent is not a requisite part of the use of force continuum, and therefore these actions are justified.
I didn't say that you need to show that there needs to be some sort of showing of intent before use is reasonable.
Then what the fuck are we talking about?
I am sort of not conceding that he is in fact resisting, because I think resistance, regardless of whether the force is reasonable, I think that resistance implies intentionality, a purpose.
Okay, we disagree, and I would like to move forward.
Okay, good. But this officer right now is not seeing what you're characterizing as resistance just yet.
Jesus.
This appears
I would characterize, once again, I would state that if you turtle, if you bring your arms in, if somebody grabs your wrist or elbow and you drag it away, that is contextualized as active resistance, and you can tase somebody.
Okay, cool, but we don't care about the law, do we? Why does the law matter in a lawless world? We are currently living in a lawless world. Why does the law matter? You're saying that oh, there could be a situation in which that could be justified legally. Yeah, we don't. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. Okay, I don't disagree with that. I don't. Okay. Why are we applying it morally? Like we're talking about the entire time. We're trying to talk about a moral argument. I don't give a single flying fuck again. Okay, I'm saying this for the 50th time now. I don't give a single flying fuck about what they can legally get away with. Again, the fact that you go to this is suspect, right?
Pepper spray somebody, you can hit somebody, you can do all of that shit.
And if
that's what I'm stating.
Let's say that his leg were amputated and they're trying to arrest him, and he was like, ah! He'd be like resistance because he's like rolling around and his fucking stump leg.
I'm telling you, if he wasn't responding to verbal commands, you could 100% tase that guy.
No, that's not the question.
You could tase a guy who's missing a leg because it's amputated? You could tase a guy with their... If a guy was just grabbing the stump of their leg and it was bleeding, like it was like Kill Bill levels of like bleeding from that stump, you're saying that there is a justification to tase him is like, stop resisting! Stop resisting! Stop resisting! Like, okay, all right, I got you.
They're resisting.
For the sake of our conversation, in a lay definition, no. In a technical definition, when deciding what levels of continuum of force you're authorized to use, yes.
Okay.
be when agents first
All right, so he's still not looking
notice
at him.
that Preddy is carrying a firearm and yell.
For the first time, he looks over.
Preddy has
and by the way, they'll do a close-up of the shooting officer.
gun. Watching the same moment from a different angle, the agent who
Okay,
first peppered...
we can pause. We can hear, and they typed out, so I'm assuming we agree with it.
Yeah.
He's got a gun, he's got a gun, he's got a gun, he's got a gun.
Yes.
Okay. We can let it flow from there.
And to be clear, what you would do in this context, being hit with cans and after being sprayed, you would be sort of lying down still, correct?
The ideal is that you surrender.
Oh, nice.
I'm asking what you would do in this situation. Would you be lying down still?
Yeah, no, dude. If I'm getting arrested, I'm starfishing, bro. I'm starfishing, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
And then allow them to, okay, all right. From my perspective, I'm going to continue turtling, okay? Because there is absolutely no fucking way that I'm letting them snap my spine and leave me paralyzed for life. At that point, you might as well just finish me off, bro. I'm good, okay? I'm good from being paralyzed for life. I'm good, okay? I would rather not be paralyzed for life.
Because I don't like getting shot, and I don't like getting my ass beat.
sprayed Preddy beats him several times.
So as the original officer pepper sprayed him, he's now hitting him with the pepper spray bottle, and this is justified because
it would be considered passive or active resistance, so striking would still be considered good.
Okay. What if you had a hammer?
No.
Soup can?
No.
But tear gas canister, yes.
I mean, it's substantially lighter, so yes.
Times with the spray canister. We can see that both of Preddy's arms are
Also,
pinned
hold
down.
up. Pause. What'd you say? Soup can? What was the other thing you said? Hammer?
Mm-hmm.
Hammer would be imminent threat of death or great bodily harm because you could break a rib. I think a soup
For my
can would
family.
be as well. If this dude is hitting him in like the ribs or whatever, I don't think a pepper spray can is going to be any more damaging than a punch. So, and you're allowed to punch at passive.
Got it.
By his head. This agent in gray reaches to remove Preddy's weapon from his hip. As this agent...
I mean, it looks like he's looking right at it.
Okay, so let's break that down because that's obviously going to be the object in contention. The weaker argumentation, in my opinion, which was brought up by Grid 1 Motorsports, but I still think it's possible, is that the alarm of someone screaming, he's got a gun, he's got a gun, he's got a gun, he's got a gun. In this context, many people, mostly boomers, mostly people over the age of 40, they carry 2 firearms. So they carry a semi-automatic, typically at the waist level, and they'll carry like an ankle pistol as well, right? Mm-hmm. So even if one firearm is secured, that doesn't mean that all the firearms are secured. Now, if I had to bet dollars to donuts, because I actually think that's the weaker of the two arguments, if I had to bet dollars to donuts, I think this officer
Interesting
probably
wording.
has tunnel vision and was unaware that the pistol was being seized. So I would chalk it up to the chaos of the fight.
Okay, question, Connor. Why is it that you can assume the cops' mentality, but you can't assume Alex Preddy's mentality? Question for you, Connor. Why is it that you can grant the utmost charitability to the cops' mentality, but you cannot grant that to Alex Preddy? Why are we not granting it to the person who doesn't even know what to do in this scenario?
Right?
And that's what an
tunnel vision.
objectively reasonable
Doesn't
officer-
see the firearm is being seized.
And so he is being objectively reasonable in this, correct?
Presuming that
for
he
tunnel
doesn't
vision.
see the disarm.
Because he's tunnel visioned.
Agent
Yes.
unholsters his gun, nudges the agent in gray out of the way, and fires. Let's rewind and focus on the agent who shoots first. Just seconds before he fired, he was facing away from Preddy and focusing on an entirely different situation as he tries to spray a nearby woman with an irritant.
And what would be justifying this spray? Attempted spray?
Passive or active resistance.
To what?
The subject is being
To
detained.
What?
Which
What?
subject is being
Is she
detained?
standing there?
Yeah, she's there. Which subject is being detained?
Is this the second woman or is this the woman on the ground?
There's another woman picking up the second woman. The woman who was initially pushed, she's attempting to pick her up. And I'm asking, what is justifying this spray? Do you think this is reasonable to spray, to attempt to spray in this context?
If they have the intent to arrest all 3 and they're basically like helping her get away and that subject is under detention, then yeah, I think you could go hands on and I think you could pepper spray.
Even this woman? I mean, this woman, they're going to arrest her for what?
I'm going to try to explain this really quick
Obstruction
because
of
I think this
justice
is
or
actually,
what?
hopefully this is illustrative. Okay. Yeah, I have a friend. He goes to a bar. Okay. There's a gentleman there
Okay.
who he wants to arrest because he was committing assault or something. Okay. Hold on. Much better. Okay. So, and the guy says, fuck you. You know, I do.
Just so you know, okay, everything that Connor is doing is speculation, okay? Everything that he has done up until this point is just pure speculation. He's not even trying. He's just not even trying. He's not even like doing the bare minimum of like yeah, it's just it's all speculation. This is all speculation on his part.
What I want. I'm not going to be arrested. Eat a dick, cops. And he starts walking out of the bar. Well, what happens is the cops
French.
follow him out to the street, but so does the entire bar, which is dozens of people. Okay. And so during the scuffle, what ends up happening is there's only 2 cops there. So they can only arrest so many people. So they grab the guy, they throw him down on the ground, they start fighting him, wrestling him, because he said that he was going to his car to get a gun. Well, what ends up happening is the people who are onlookers effectively start walking towards and charging. Well, maybe not charging, but they start walking towards the officers as if what they're going to do is they are going to peel the officers off of the man who's being arrested. Okay? Now, some of them might have had that intent. I'm sure some of them didn't. They just wanted to get closer to the action and take a look. But what ended up happening was, in order to disperse the crowd, the officer, believing that he was trying to effectuate a lawful arrest and that these people approaching him were going to make that arrest more difficult, he pulled out his OC spray and sprayed the crowd. So at that point, do you think that he has to evaluate the requisite intent of every single person on scene in order to...
Is one woman a crowd? Is one woman a crowd, Connor? Connor. You're talking about a crowd. Connor? That's a fucking... Is one woman a crowd? Are you that scared of women?
to determine whether or not that spray is justified? Or can he justify the spray within the context of, I'm trying to effectuate an arrest and this person is making it more difficult to do so?
Who's outnumbered here?
Yeah, on those facts, I think it would probably be more reasonable given the overall threat of the crowd if he's perceiving that. And it seems like in your hypothetical, that is what he's perceiving. But I just think that's a very different circumstance than what we have presented here.
Well, and then we also disagree that in the beginning of this case or whatever, 18 USC 111 or whatever the fuck it was.
Yes, we also disagree on that.
That these people would be subject to either detention or dispersion. So if this officer wanted to disperse her, he could hit her with spray. If this officer wanted to detain her, he could hit her with spray. Either way.
She's not like, I guess she's technically like a knee on the side of the road or something. Kind of unclear.
Well, she's also involving herself in the scuffle because she's picking up somebody that they intend to detain.
Well, I don't know. Where is that intention? Have they said, hey, she's under arrest, don't touch her? What have they tried to do to...
And there's literally no fucking communication in any way whatsoever. Like who has the training here? Sorry. Like, dude. Who has the training here?
It seems like they can just go right to using the spray again against this woman. But this woman, Connor, she's already been sprayed.
And?
Why is it reasonable to spray her again? She's on the floor.
To gain compliance.
How much more to gain compliance? She's doing what any other person would do, having been sprayed, and spraying her more is not going to cause her to be more still. It's going to cause her to be more in agony, right?
Can you show me the policy where you're only allowed to spray once?
I didn't say that.
Okay, I think that's what you're implying. Either way.
Well, no. The problem is that none of the sprays are justified, right? They're only spraying because they feel the cruelty coming on, right? They feel the inner cruelty, the heart of darkness coming on. That's why they were spraying. They were not spraying because, oh yeah, this is a situation and I need to get it under control. It's because you feel the inner cruelty. You guys, okay, have you guys ever been part of a hate mob? Ever? Or like mobbed up on someone? Has there been anybody in here who are like former bullies in high school or some shit? Yeah, I mean, like, when you mob up on someone, that's just what you feel. You feel like there is this inner darkness that has taken a hold of you. Nope. Okay, well, I have. There's this inner darkness that takes a hold of you, and you're like, I want to do everything in my power to make this person suffer for no reason. Okay, I felt that. Yeah.
It's immaterial to the shoot, so we should probably move to the shoot.
Can I just linger here for one more question? I mean, so like, do you think that spraying her again is more likely to get her more compliant?
Okay? No, but like I said, I'm a simultaneously overly reasonable and today an unreasonable former law enforcement officer, and I never used OC spray because I think OC spray is, in general, it's a.
Then why would he be reasonable in that?
No, hold on. Let me say this because this is not an objectively reasonable officer. Okay, an objectively reasonable officer is going to say,
Fine.
I'm allowed to use OC spray at passive resistance, therefore I can use OC whenever I want to at passive. Okay, what I'm saying is that the only time that I've seen OC be effective is I've seen it be effective against dogs, where dogs run away, and because you're not trying to affect the detention on a dog. I've seen it effective for dispersion, where you're trying to get people to run away because they don't want to be hit with OC spray, or they're hit with OC spray and they no longer want to be there. And then I've seen it make arrests worse, where OC spray, when you're going hands-on or whatever, people spray the subject, but because it's an aerosol spray, it gets into everybody's eyes, everybody's ears, everybody. So the cops are now coughing up OC spray. And so as a result, I elected as an overly reasonable officer to never use it. But that doesn't mean that other officers aren't objectively reasonable in their use of spray at passive or active resistance to effectuate an arrest. I'm not changing policy.
But at this point, I feel like she's been sufficiently sprayed, and spraying.
They sprayed on dogs? To be fair, we have been instructed to spray dogs when I was in USPS. You're instructed to spray dogs because your life is more important than a dog's. Okay?
Has no tendency to
Every single male person carries a dog spray.
increase the lawful purpose of what you're characterizing as compliance in the face of passive/active resistance. Like, it just really does
Maybe
seem
that officer makes a different judgment and he says it's actually easier to fight people who are OC pepper sprayed and get them to maintain compliance once they've been exposed to OC. Maybe they have a different opinion. And I'm telling you that an objective, reasonable standard is going to back that officer up more than it's going to back me up.
So when would it be unjustified to continue spraying? What's the, once she basically like stops moving?
Yeah, when they surrender.
Okay, but spraying her.
Have you ever seen, it's bad tactics, by the way, but have you ever seen a video of an officer striking a subject with a baton? And what's happening is he keeps hitting them over and over and over and over again. It says, stop resisting, stop resisting, stop resisting, stop resisting. And what happens is for 45 minutes, somebody is getting their ass beat with a fucking baton.
Yeah, what do you think about Rodney King? What do you think of
directly analogous, I promise you.
Okay.
I promise you it's directly analogous. Okay, so you're hitting them with the fucking baton, but what they're doing is they're in so much pain, they don't want to surrender, they want to defend themselves. So what they do is they do like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu, like spin move, where they keep trying to keep their legs towards the officer because they don't want to be hit in the head and arms. And so what ends up happening, because cops don't understand body mechanics, they're poorly trained to some degree, and they don't have good hands-on stuff. You effectively see like a ass beating with a baton for 45 seconds. Whereas if they said, hey, fucking go into the position, like lay flat down or lay flat on your fucking stomach, put your hands behind your back immediately, and then threaten to hit them, that would have gained compliance more quickly than them continually hitting the person for 45 seconds. Have you seen those videos? Because I've seen those videos.
Well, I know about Rodney King, and that seems somewhat similar fact pattern.
Well, he was high on PCP, so that's a little bit different.
But you think that was justified to beat Rodney King in that context?
No.
In virtue of what? It seems like on all fours.
By virtue of gaining compliance. Hold on. Now we're getting into a nuanced topic that is actually like prescriptive. Okay?
What?
Because none of this is the best way to gain compliance.
But this was all prescriptive. What are you talking about? This entire conversation was about prescriptions. What the ICE officers should have done. Right? That's the entire conversation. Dimwit.
Hands-on Brazilian jiu-jitsu, grappling, Greco-Roman wrestling, restraints that don't involve strikes are 1,000 times better at gaining compliance from subjects than any of this shit. And yet law enforcement officers are not sufficiently trained in Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Okay, do you think 47 days is enough for training? Do you think 47 days is enough for training, Connor? Do you think that low training gives anybody excuse when they're out there killing people? Do you think that low training gives anybody excuse to set up a situation where you end up shooting someone like that? Probably not, right? Probably not. So why don't you say any of that, Connor? Why do you just go automatically to, oh, these people are trying to resist arrest or blah, 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 right?
Greco-Roman wrestling or restraint techniques. So while all of this is legal, it's bad. And I think that
He already said no. Yeah, but I'm saying that it doesn't matter whether or not he thinks that it's not enough training, right? That doesn't matter. Now, the question I ask you is, now I ask the class, why doesn't it matter? Use your brain for just a second. Why doesn't Connor's position on the improvements of police training matter here in this situation? Okay. You have the answer in your head, right? It doesn't matter because Connor didn't state any of that during this debate. Or at least if he stated it, it was like 1% of a 1% in comparison to everything else he said in this debate. If he actually believed that he wanted to go the path of like reforming police training or like improving police training or something, he would have said it far more often. Instead, he has tried every single possible excuse to come up with excuses on how ICE could get away with murder. Right? That's why it doesn't matter.
officers should completely be retrained in the reference to the way that they use force. When I'm telling you the use of force continuum and what officers are allowed to do in this situation, I'm being descriptive. If you ask me for a prescriptive, I have about a 10,000 word thesis paper for you.
Okay, but you are saying that this is objectively reasonable use of force under Supreme Court
based
standards?
off of the current standards for the use of force.
I don't think he is making excuses. I think he is saying this is how it is. Wrong. In the tweet, he said that he said that Alex Preddy was wrestling. Nope, wrong. It isn't. This is how it is. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said that Alex Preddy is wrestling, and he wouldn't have said that these people were effectively assaulting or like resisting arrest in terms of talking about the officers. Okay? Make sense?
This is a legally defensible use of force.
Which means
yes.
it's objectively
The whole
reasonable.
jug is now a
right?
petri dish. Shut the fuck
Because
up.
that's the standard.
Yes.
Okay.
The spray appears to malfunction, and the agent turns as he adjusts it. That's when someone yells that Preddy has a gun. In around 5 seconds after fully turning his attention toward Preddy, the agent draws his weapon and shoots. His arm visibly recoils at the first shot. The firearm has clearly been removed from the scrum when the first shots are fired toward Preddy at close range. The officer who disarmed Preddy can be seen reacting to the sound of the first shot, looking back toward the skirmish. The shooter was standing behind Preddy and not under direct threat,
You would agree with that.
contradicting statements from Homeland Security officials that he fired defensive shots.
Hold
He
on.
also
Pause.
Connor?
You already know this.
No, we
I don't even know why I have to articulate it. I feel like you could articulate it yourself. Does the officer standing behind Mr. Preddy, does he need to be in imminent threat of death or great bodily harm?
No.
Okay. So can you steel man what he believed that he was doing in order to end the threat? Who do you think he was protecting in that scenario?
No,
Assuming
was
he didn't see
trying
the
to end
disarm.
threat.
Are you asking me what I think actually happened or what they might argue?
Well, I mean, if you say that you think that he just used this excuse in order to commit murder, you know, I think
That's
you're
exactly
a
what I
crazy
think
person.
happened.
Oh, okay. I
Yes.
think you're a crazy person, but
Why?
that's fine.
Why?
Why
Why?
wouldn't I think that?
Why? Why?
Why do you think he would?
Connor, you realize that nobody. How can you say the other person was being a crazy person if nobody agrees with you? You're crazy is subjective. Crazy is societally defined. Okay, if most people, dude, you can't just say this is crazy. Okay, all right, thank you, Connor.
Would.
Intentionally kill a person?
So you're saying
Who from this space
that
agrees
this
with you,
guy
Connor?
These are
saw
psychos?
somebody resisting arrest, then he heard the phrase gun, 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 but he already saw the disarm and he shot him in the back for fun.
Well,
even though he knows that that could result in criminal charges for him and the incarceration for him for the rest of his life.
Just to be clear, that's what I think actually happened, but it's not what's necessary to show murder. You wouldn't need to believe that that's the case to show murder, just to be clear. But I do think that's what happened.
Okay, so what would you need to show in order to show murder?
That he intended to kill this person / was practically certain the death would result, that he acted with malice aforethought, and that there's no justification. That's what you need to show. And all the elements are proved regardless.
What's the malice aforethought?
Malice is a term, is from the common law, it means bad heart. It can be accomplished through intent or knowledge, meaning conscious object or practical certainty.
They were told they had criminal immunity, and they do. And they do. That's just fact. All right? ICE does have criminal immunity. It doesn't matter what it is, Trump will pardon it. Or you're wearing a mask and you're not going to be caught. To this day, Alex Preddy has not had his justice, okay? Because the people who killed Alex Preddy has gotten away with it. Scot-free. No hearing, no investigation, no anything. They have murdered a person in broad daylight and gotten away with it. And Connor here, the bootlicker, is making excuses for them. That is the world we live in right now, okay?
And someone who shoots a gun at another person a total of 10 times is practically certain the death will result, and there's no other sort of exception that takes you out of intentional from malice into not malice, except for perhaps imperfect self-defense. But like I said, I don't think that he has access to that, because I don't think he thought his life was in any danger.
Okay, so this guy is effectively like a serial killer. He's using.
What?
I think he's a murderer.
He's using law enforcement as a pretext to look for opportunities to commit murder, and he found one, so he took it.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you would need
but it's not
way
it's not
more in
it's
order
not
to
necessary.
establish that.
It's not necessary to a
What do you
finding
mean?
of
Like what he
murder.
ate for
I just wanna be
breakfast,
clear
or
about my
what?
opinion about his additional bad intent isn't necessary to a finding of a murder, and I think I just made that clear.
No, you did. I just think you're fucking crazy pants, and I think that his assertion, his defensible assertion, is going to be way fucking easier. Like dollars to fucking donuts. Once again, I would throw like $100
Why do you
down
keep
that this
saying
guy
that?
doesn't even get charged.
I'm not saying he will be charged. This is just
Yeah, also, by the way, all right? Like, does Connor at least agree that there should be an investigation? Because we're not even there yet, okay? Like, we're not even talking about like potentially like whether it's murder or not murder, okay? Like we're not even there yet. They have gotten away scot-free. How is that okay? How are you okay with that? That's ridiculous.
what we're seeing.
Okay. So what I would say is infinitely more likely is number one. And by the way, I could run you through the entirety of the police report when we're done with this, and I actually would like the opportunity to do so.
Which police report? The
one that I
you
would
would
write.
make. Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
So what I think is infinitely more likely is that he's going to put in his, he's going to say, I didn't see the fucking gun. As a matter of fact, in the scramble, I had tunnel vision. I had no idea the gentleman.
Yeah. Why the fuck are you... Okay, hold on. It's so funny. Why is Connor trying to play defense lawyer for the ICE officer? Why is he trying to do this? Like, why are you trying to do this? The entire time, they've been talking about the objective facts of the situation, which they can't even agree on. But Connor keeps on going to, oh, here are what excuses I would have given if I was in that situation, which is especially telling, right? Why do you picture yourself in that situation? Why do you see yourself in the boots of that ICE officer? I think somebody needs to do a safety check on his wife. See if she's being domestically abused at home.
Had been disarmed. And so as a result, when I heard the officer screaming, gun, 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 he's got a gun, I thought that the scream was indicative of an imminent threat of death or great bodily harm to myself or others, because obviously, as we know, a pistol by itself is a threat of death or great bodily harm, and its imminence is as quickly as you're able to point it and pull the trigger. So, hearing the panicked screams of a fellow officer yelling "gun, gun, gun," I believed.
I swear Connor has admitted to allowing other cops to get away with dirt in past. He's scum. Really? Can you show me the clip?
That the reasonably believed
I don't know how to
that the
believe that.
subject was not only resisting arrest, not only engaged in passive and active resistance. I thought he was in the process of retrieving a weapon that posed an imminent threat of death or great bodily harm to myself and others, and therefore I discharged my service pistol into his back, killing him, in my belief, ending the imminent threat of death or great bodily harm.
Well, not
And I
just
think that's exactly how it's going to be written up, and I think that he's not going to be charged.
Oh, I thought you were going to wait till the end to do your fucking police report, but not just in
Dude,
the
that's
back.
not even a police report. That's like a
not just in the
3-second
back.
summary.
Not just in the back. How are you going to justify the shots when the guy's lying prone and they magged up into him like full seconds later?
We can take a look at that, but once again, you dismissively have characterized.
I don't like how he has an excuse loaded up, ready to go. I don't like how Connor has an excuse loaded up, ready to go for that one. That's crazy to me.
The 3-second window or whatever as like the 3-second get out of jail free card window or whatever.
Zone, yeah,
you know,
you're
likey. Also, guys, okay, don't forget, okay, to like the stream at the very least, and to join my server, discord.gg/foodshops. Okay, join our wonderful community. All right, we talk about this kind of stuff every single day. We talk about politics, we talk about drama, we talk about Steven's lawsuit. Okay, we talk about Tecton's lawsuit. Join us, discord.gg/foodshops. Thank you.
Yeah, so you believe in the 2-3 second fun zone. I mean, I don't even know why you would stop there, given what you have to say about the mace, but we can continue.
Has a vantage point to see the gun pulled from the scene, but it's unclear if he did and whether he thought a weapon was still on Preddy. He then fires 3 more shots from behind Preddy.
Hold on, we gotta pause real quick. Hold on. Crazy Cat Gamer says, so you can shoot someone just because someone else shouted gun without seeing anything or assessing anything. Pisco, can you answer that question?
Well, I don't think that's a per se rule. The answer is no.
Okay. Are you aware of case law where law enforcement officers used force based off of the perceptions of other officers?
I'm not aware of specific cases where it was all that. I mean, there are certainly some cases, even the cases like Plumhoff or whatever, where they're getting information from other people, and that would absolutely factor into the TOC. But I think what your audience member is suggesting, though, is that it can't be enough merely to say gun, gun, gun to make something reasonable, because that certainly would be horrible if that were the rule.
But they're going to add in the TOC. They're going to add in interjecting himself into the arrest. They're going to add in subject to arrest under assault or interfering with law enforcement operation. They're going to add in passive and active resistance. They're going to add in resisting the other officers who are attempting to fuck the metaphorical football, and then they're going to add in the imminent threat of death or great bodily harm, and as a result, it's going to be justified.
Okay, I disagree.
Whose arms are down as he appears to brace himself against the pavement. In one hand, he still holds his phone, and in his other, his glasses. The agent in gray who removed Preddy's gun carries it across the street. Preddy is disarmed and falling to the ground. But the agent who first pepper sprayed Preddy and later beat him with a canister also pulls out his gun. From a distance, despite the fact that Preddy is lying motionless on the ground.
He's prone. He has 4 shots in him.
Okay. You can be shot in the heart and you have 20 seconds until you're actually dead.
These 2 agents fire 6 more shots.
What?
Neither is under threat.
Connor?
Action and action distinction? Or sorry, the action and action time period?
Action reaction gap, relatively speaking. Maybe the other person actually is a serial killer and just wanted vacation because they wanted to go on administrative leave for participating in a shooting. I mean, you could use that as a talking point going forward, is that if you're involved in a shooting, then you're on administrative leave for extended periods. So not me, because I don't just assume that like police officers are running around looking for an opportunity to murder members of the public.
Why do we care about that?
If you want to argue that Officer 1 did see the gun, he just wanted to get away with murder, so he killed him. And then if you want to argue that Officer 2 just wanted like 6 months of paid administrative vacation, then you could argue that if you wanted to.
It's not necessary to anything.
God,
I mean, it is my belief
so
for that first officer That is my actual belief. And I answered your question. And now what you're doing is bad faith, as though that were necessary for a finding of murder, as though it were necessary for the elements that we're talking about.
I didn't say it was necessary for a finding of murder. I said maybe that was his motivation. I said maybe his motivation is he wanted a vacation.
By focusing on that, you are being bad faith because you are now taking, the belief that I do have about his intent.
To be clear, I don't know about bad faith.
I think it's bad faith because you know that's the conclusion of justification.
I'm not forwarding an argument that I disbelieve. I'm giving you an argument that you could use if you wanted to be rude to another person during a different debate.
Well, I think that these cops, at a bare minimum,
Nobody asked for your fucking opinion. You fucking stupid inbred. You absolute pathetic, cunt. Nobody asked for your fucking opinion. You fucking bootlicking asshole.
are fucking incompetent. And I think it's ridiculous, Connor, that you would justify any of these shots, let alone the shots as they're backing up, as this dying man is lying prone, his hands outstretched, seconds after, continuing.
Just because Pisco is shitty doesn't mean you gotta lower your level to the same level as him. Dude, God, you're so fucking pathetic.
To shoot 6 shots is unconscionable. It's disgusting.
What's the times elapsed? What's the total time elapsed from first shot fired to last shot fired?
It's a few seconds. It's but it's not half a second, Connor. I mean,
okay, but we've already talked about action reaction gap, and we already talked about how what was it? So it was a quarter second in order to recognize something was going on, and it was like an average of a second and a half in order to take an action.
Something you
and
got,
then decide
that's something you got from
action.
that's something you got from like ChatGPT or something. That's not what I said. No, I didn't agree with that. I disagreed with that.
Okay. So you think that everybody can stop their actions after a quarter of a second? So realistically, they just wanted to mag dump a corpse.
I mean, one of the guys initiates this action, so it's not stopping what he's doing; it's starting. So how are you going to justify that one? Because that's not going to be explained.
Because you shoot until the threat is over, Pisco.
Okay.
You've already heard this a dozen times.
Yeah, but
not only have you heard this dozens of times,
he's prone, lying on the ground. You fucking bootlicker. He's lying on the ground. He's been shot on the ground. He's been executed. Are you okay? Do you have brainworms, Connor?
Hundreds of thousands of times.
He's lying prone.
And what did I say to you? What did I say to you about somebody who got shot in the heart? What did I say to you? I want to see if you retain an iota of the information that I communicate to you.
Yeah, it takes 20 seconds for them to fully die out or whatever. But the difference is here.
There are documented cases. Okay. Hold on. There's a variety of ways that you can cause bodily or you can cause death in another person. Number one, you can do a central nervous system shot. And that's deemed instantaneous. If you interrupt somebody's central nervous system by hitting them in the top of the brainstem, they effectively can no longer control their body because they're shot there, okay? The other 2 ways that you kill somebody is inducing shock or insanguination, okay? Exsanguination takes time. That's where you rip apart the blood system so badly that their blood leaves their body, and as a result, they die. That shit can take...
You're literally just describing... It's like... God, Connor's so fucking gross. Connor is so fucking gross. He's so gross. He's so gross. He's so gross. Dude, do you know what Connor is trying to do right now? It's like Connor is like fantasizing about all the ways you can kill Alex Preddy. Like that's what it feels like right now. It feels like Connor is like actively like fantasizing right now about he being the one to kill Alex Preddy, and he is like fantasizing all the ways that he could die. All right, that is so fucking disgusting to me. You have no idea. God damn, dude.
Minutes. Okay, you could shoot somebody, like I said, in the heart. They can be hit in the heart, and they can continue to operate for another 20 seconds.
So just be clear. Wait, because you know where I'm about to go with that, right?
I don't.
If they kept firing for 20 seconds, would it be justified? If they kept firing for 20 seconds, would it be justified? Yes or no?
If they're trying to induce shock, absolutely. And I would like the opportunity to finish the concept.
Sure.
So I already articulated to you a central nerve.
What the fuck? You're saying that you would have kept shooting? Yo, hey. How is Connor getting even worse? Like, I thought what he said was already horrible. I didn't expect him to try to justify, like, them continuing to shoot Connor.
Nervous system hit. I already articulated to you exsanguination. The final way is to induce shock. The way that you induce shock is by overwhelming the body.
You guys realize Connor is literally just saying they were not cruel enough, right? Like, however amount of cruelty that ICE is inflicting, they are not cruel enough. They're justified in being more cruel, right? That's what Connor is saying. Don't buy into this bullshit of Connor saying they would be justified legally or like by police training that they are like they should be shooting like several more times or whatever, okay? He doesn't actually believe any of this, okay? He doesn't actually believe any of this. He doesn't. All right? All he's saying, so like to me from my perspective, here's what's going on. He is like talking about exsanguination, shooting for the nerve or whatever. He's trying to picture himself in this situation, all right? Because he's bloodthirsty. And because he wants to be the one getting dogpiled by everyone, and he wants to be the one pulling the trigger, because in all of his years as a cop, he never got to kill anybody or something, right? Although I don't know, who the fuck knows at this point, all right? And then he's basically saying, here's how I would have shot this motherfucker. Here's how I would have shot Alex Brady. All right? That's the way I'm reading his analysis. Okay? I'm not reading his analysis as in like, okay, well, here's all the ways that he could get out of this situation. No, I don't give a fuck about that anymore. Okay? To me, at the very least, it just seems like he's fantasizing about it. Right? And he's using the fantasization, whatever. As like justification. I don't know. There's like some twisted shit going on right here. Hey, that's okay. Thank you so much for $2. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Body with injury, and then the brain shuts down automatically. Okay? So that's the third way. So if they're trying to induce shock because they still think that he's moving, then yes, a 5 to 6 second gap in order to mag dump to induce shock
20
is
seconds.
how you stop a threat.
Are you
20 seconds?
Are you coming back from 20 seconds? You said 20.
No, I mean, I thought you said that it was a matter of seconds.
No. Would it be justified for them to continue shooting 20 seconds? You answered yes.
No.
Okay. Why not?
As a matter of fact, I brought up to you the Laquan McDonald case out of Chicago, in which the officer took aimed shots for 20 seconds.
Thank you, Connor.
Wait, so do you think that's justified in this case? If they kept firing, reloaded and kept firing for 20 seconds, why would that be unjustified on your view?
Because effectively they've already induced shock. They've already induced shock probably with 3 rounds left.
Is this how couples argue? No. No. This is not just bickering over something. There's fundamentally something much more horrifying going on right here.
Alone 6, but if 10 rounds are discharged over the course of 6 seconds, then it's not that big of a deal. That's like pretty normal.
Okay. I think I don't know, man. I'm kind of exhausted. What about you?
Me too. So let me share my prescriptions with you. That way your fucking audience isn't totally fucking soyed the fuck out.
Okay.
Oh,
Connor, you're justifying shooting a prone person
let me
multiple times to make sure he's
stop
dead.
Doing what I'm doing and do this.
Connor.
Where are you?
Connor.
Stop streaming and then go back here.
Okay. What I would say is, over the course of the past several hours, and I knew it was going to be messy and I knew it was going to be ugly, but I would say that what Pisco and I really did is we disagreed about description. I think you disagreed on description from a legalistic perspective based off of your training and education as a lawyer. I think that I argued my descriptive understanding based off of my training and experience as a law enforcement officer.
I can't believe I'm saying this right now. Hold on. I can't believe I'm saying this right now. But Connor was the one being a lawyer in this conversation, right? It wasn't Pisco that was being a lawyer in this conversation. Pisco was just describing what all of us sees, right? The one who is being a lawyer here, trying to give excuses as if he was the defense attorney for this guy, is Connor, right? They effectively switch positions.
And for those of you who don't know, law enforcement officers and lawyers are not famous for getting along, so it's not surprising that we didn't see eye to eye on a healthy chunk of the topic. However, I do think the reason why I like Pisco, despite me maybe calling him a CUNT and also banning his chatters from my community and all that kind of stuff, despite all that ugliness and all that descriptive rigmarole, I think the one thing that I actually like Pisco for, and I think he intends well for the Republic of the United States. I think he genuinely does care about the Constitution of the United States.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about what you intend. Okay, nobody cares about what you intend. Every single Trump, every single Trump sycophant has literally said, verbatim, "Yo, hey, my dog Trump. All right, my homeboy, my ninja Trump. Okay." He's doing nothing illegal under the Constitution because he's doing what he could under the Constitution. All right, just so you know, this is what every single fucking motherfucker who makes excuses for Trump says. But
United States, I think he genuinely does care about democracy. I think he genuinely does care about the Republic, and he's fighting for it rhetorically in the best way he knows how, and I respect that, and I like that.
Nobody cares.
So, as a sign of good.
Also, furthermore, I don't even fundamentally believe in that. I think you're justified in breaking the Constitution if the other side is breaking the Constitution because of tit for tat. I think if the other side doesn't follow the Constitution, then the Constitution is just a piece of paper. I just don't believe that either.
Faith that I'm not just this meat-headed murdering piece of shit who just loves it whenever cops mag dump random human beings. I want to share prescriptions that I've come up with that I think would actually save American lives based off of recent incidents, including Renee Good and including Mr. Preddy. So I am appreciative of Pisco indulging me in said sharing.
Got it.
So I'm sharing a document that I wrote up, reducing police homicides in the United States. Okay. If I could extract case law from the Renee Good shooting and or write new legislation, I would say that the Renee Good case law needs to define officer cause jeopardy and prohibit officers from knowingly, maliciously, or negligently provoking a use of force scenario resulting in death or injury of a member of the public. If they are found to have caused officer cause jeopardy, then I believe that they should be held liable for a civil suit and fired from the profession. I would argue that more progressive and liberal people argue that they should also be held to criminal account, but I don't agree with that. Although I do think that that would reduce unjust homicides. In reference to the Preddy case, I would say the belief that a gun was present led to the death of an unarmed man, and as a result, law enforcement communication in a fight needs to be codified and trained.
I hate it. Okay, I personally hate it whenever Counterpoints does this weird like fucking world building shit. And this is something that Counterpoints does a lot, okay? I don't know why he does it, but it's gay, okay? Every single time, he always does this weird, like, fucking world-building shit where he, like, goes over a, like, ideal world that he has dreamt up or something. Like how a leftist would dream up, like, a modern-day USSR. It's so cringe. It's so cringe. Yeah.
The simple yell of the word gun, 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 gun should be identified as an imminent threat of death or great bodily harm. Whereas if an officer shouts disarmed, then that should be codified, in my opinion, and notify fellow officers that they have seen a weapon on scene but have secured said weapon. Then, American law enforcement can still rely on imminent threat of death or great bodily harm as a guidance for when they can use lethal force. However, cops should be retrained in reference to edged weapons like knives, improvised weapons like baseball bats and golf clubs, and screwdrivers.
Also, why the fuck are you trying to come up with, like, more ideal laws? As if laws matter. Do laws still even matter anymore? Like, does any of this matter? What? laws are kind of meaningless, no? Right now?
Drivers and homemade appliances, and we should adopt European-style disarmament tactics to
Like, Counterpoints can go and jaywalk, all right? And he would be held to a higher standard than the Trump administration right now.
save more human lives. Cops should be equipped with and trained with riot shields, tasers, bolo
I heard
nets,
laws,
capture
yeah.
devices to reduce deaths, particularly of people experiencing drug overdoses, excited delirium, schizophrenia, and uncontrolled diabetes. I got 2 more and then I'm done, I promise. All cops have to be trained on the signs of drug overdoses and positional asphyxia to reduce in-custody deaths. Chokeholds and neck restraints should be moved to the deadly force category, and they should be otherwise
Connor,
restricted
nobody
from use.
cares. Connor, literally nobody cares.
Do you disagree?
Oh my god. None of us signed up to have this yap session, okay? None of us signed up to hear you yap about your ideal world building. Bro, we came here to argue about Alex Preddy, you fucking dimwit.
With anything? You got any feedback on those?
Nobody cares.
I think that some of this stuff makes sense from the perspective of like, you know, disarmed and like having certain codes of conduct, but I don't think we need new laws to establish the crimes that occurred here. And so I think that some of this stuff, you know, I don't have an expertise in what makes sense in a law enforcement capacity with respect to like certain best practices.
What?
But I will say,
not a thing, is
I'll put
it?
you guys full screen again.
Diabetes?
That we don't need new frameworks to deal with what happened in these 2 cases. I think they're both murders, and I think they should be charged as such from the state's perspective. And I think additional reforms need to be aimed with respect to personnel. I think there's a personnel problem in ICE, specifically in CBP, and we need a clean house and we need to abolish it. So those are my views. I think, you know, maybe some of the things make strategic sense.
Don't worry,
what you're saying,
I'll watch the Live and Learn episode and get triggered and yell at my computer tomorrow.
Oh, we didn't really. That was like more about like the lefty. Like we had another repetition of like the lefty.
I know. I'm very excited about that component of the debate. I can't wait.
But that has nothing to do with like
20 minutes on abolish ICE and 20 minutes on is Hassan Piker bad. I can't wait for it. That's my favorite kind of content.
But like the abolish ICE part was, I don't think it's as spicy
What?
as the part about Hassan bad. But yeah, see what you like. Connor, I think you need to back away from this position. I think it's a bad position. I think it's indefensible. I think
that Connor's position is horrifying. I think that Connor's position is horrifying. No?
I think maybe you want to defend cops, and I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt of that. But I really do think it's like monstrous, some of the stuff you're arguing for.
Like, Connor's position is so horrifying that this is Pisco's most good faith debate. Connor's position is so bad that he made Pisco look like the most good faith motherfucker on planet Earth. How do you even accomplish that? How do you even make that happen? You've done the impossible. Good job. You've literally done the impossible.
And I'm not trying to like soy out about it, but I hope you reconsider.
I would.
really do. Because I do like you and I like talking to you, and I appreciate that you're taking a stance, an iconoclastic stance among members of your community. But I do think it's monstrous. But I'm sure we'll have future conversations about that. But you made me tired.
We are what? No, I'm tired too. I was tired before I started streaming. So what I want people to realize is that we are temperamentally different. We do believe different things. And so we can agree that the Republic of the United States is good, that the Constitution is good, that the Bill of Rights is good, and MAGA is largely threatening the structures of our republic, and that could basically cause a time of unseen before turmoil and anarchy and death and misery, and therefore those people should not be encouraged. And I think that's where a lot of the heat is coming from, is because they view me talking about use of force the way that I do as excusing Noam and Trump of accusing this guy of domestic terrorism. I actually have a breakdown of Mr. Preddy's position that effectively valorizes him as an incredibly well-intended patriot of the United States, exercising his First Amendment and Second Amendment rights. But because of the way that use of force doctrine is,
Yeah, but like none of the conversation did not go down in that way, right? Like the conversation didn't go down in that way. Like whatever you're talking about right now, like this conversation didn't go down in a way where it feels as though you actually value him, right? You can't say, oh yeah, well now I'm honoring his memory after I'm spitting on his fucking reputation, right? You're essentially saying that Alex Preddy assaulted police officers, chose to pick a fight with 7 of them or 6 of them in a wrestling match where he had not his gun out, but he had his fists out or something, where the entire time he was resisting. And like what are we talking about here? Hello? Like what the fuck are we talking about here? And you're saying that even after they shot him 4 times, they should have continued shooting him to make sure that he's actually dead. You can't just say, oh yeah, I'm gonna make him into a martyr, into someone who is like a hero or something, after you justified that, oh yeah, maybe they should have shot extra times. What is wrong with you?
Written in the United States at present, he's effectively like a martyr, like he's a dead martyr in the name of these rights. Now, I think he made mistakes, but also as a civilian, I don't expect him to know about those mistakes.
What mistakes, Connor? What mistakes, Connor?
Let's go to the forest.
What? Bro got beaten up by a bunch of cops and then lynched in public. What? Huh? The mistake was he shouldn't have turtled? He should have done what exactly?
And I also think the officers made mistakes that
one of the mistakes was
resulted in his
resisting,
death.
right? One of the mistakes was resisting after the pepper spray.
I would say having a pistol on your person and involving yourself. Morally, I applaud him. Seeing a woman get thrown 6 feet and saying, I don't care if I'm armed, I don't care if that's a law enforcement officer, I'm going to step in and intervene and protect this woman from additional harm or whatever. That's a noble, virtuous constitution. I think Mr. Preddy is a noble, virtuous human being, but the graveyard is filled with plenty of noble and virtuous human beings. And that's what I'm trying to communicate when I'm talking about use of force or whatever.
You're not communicating that though. Dude, you communicated like a more unhinged version of MAGA. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we're not even talking about MAGA where you're like, oh, well, here's a bunch of excuses or whatever the fuck, right? You're essentially saying that you acknowledge a lot of the situation for what it is. And by the way, okay, you're still wrong on a lot of the descriptive claims that you have made. But you don't even agree. You don't agree with him having his gun out. Like, you don't even see that angle, right? But then you're effectively still saying that, oh, yeah, they should have shot him like 50 trillion times, right? That's ridiculous. That's obviously ridiculous. Dude, actually insane behavior. A good one.
Is effectively like, I don't...
Yeah, the
we can
Glaze
talk about
Fest
this
makes him
another
look
day,
worse.
but I don't want your...
Yeah, like, for example, dude, how disgusting is it? How disgusting is it if I said, like, oh, George Floyd had fentanyl in his system, so therefore he died of fentanyl, and then I went on to say, like, El Gato? Oh, shit. My bad. It's okay, whatever. I'm at the end anyway. Camera's dead. It's okay, let it die, okay? Some things are meant to live and die. And sometimes it's okay to let things die, okay? Not Alex Preddy, though. Yeah, you're defending the ICE position. Like, you're basically saying, well, he was a good person. Yeah, motherfucker, we all know that he was a good person. Right? Like we all know he's a good person. we don't need you. We don't need you to communicate that. Right? We don't need you to tell us that, right? We can put 2 and 2 together. We know how to add, right?
in Steven and other
Yeah, you're right.
people's
Shot the
noble
camera.
pursuit of justice to encourage people either towards stochastic violence and or putting themselves in harm's way in
Of
a way
course.
that's going to get themselves hurt or killed.
No, but I always say that, and I want to be clear, guys. It's peaceful protest is sufficient,
Is
and
Fed
that's all we
posting?
need to do right now. I don't want you guys to do crazy things or criminal things or attacks, because it will only serve to lower the chance of getting justice. Because I don't want Renee Good or Alex.
I don't even know if I agree with that. In a world where laws don't matter, everything that we have in society is in according to the social contract, okay? But what happens if the social contract fails? Right? Part of that social contract is that we live in a society where laws mean something, okay? Where we're able to see justice, and no bad deed will ever get away, because at least, you know, you get to be held in a court of law, right? But that's the social contract. If the people who are meant to enforce the laws are breaking the laws, right? Then the social contract is broken. How could you expect anything more or less? Yeah, whatever. Try not to Fed post. I'm not Fed posting.
Ready to have died in vain, and I think that does mean charging these people. And I think any situation in which we are doing cowardly or criminal acts lowers the chance of getting real justice there. So I agree with that.
Well, and if I was capable, which I don't think I am, but if I was capable
Damn, I
of
didn't sign up
taking
to watch this guy
the
lick
energy
boot.
and the passion that you and other
Jesus.
advocates have, and then proposing the law enforcement reforms that I brought up with, the
Unhinged
modification to use of force in reference to like
Unhinged.
edged weapons, the out of police homicides that are probably like 2,000 homicides a year from law enforcement or whatever, I would say you could probably cut it by half, because I almost guarantee you that what's happening now is imminent threat of death or great bodily harm. It's an improvised weapon like a baseball bat, golf club, screwdriver, edge shears, whatever. And instead of getting a bunch of cops to kind of corner this individual, use riot shields and non-lethal means to gain compliance, they instead just mag dump the guy. And so I'm telling you, like, out of 2,000 people who are killed by law enforcement every year, we could probably cut that in half if we adopted some of these policies. But these policies,
Why do policies matter when laws don't matter? Why do these policies? Why the fuck are you trying to come up with policies that ICE will not follow? ICE doesn't follow any of the current policies. Why would they follow your policies? What are you on about? Are you crazy? Are you delusional? Are you inbred?
unfortunately, are not popular enough for anybody to give a shit.
Well,
Yeah,
I appreciate
nobody
the
cares about
conversation,
your
Connor.
world building. Okay, you're a fucking schizo.
We'll see
Soon.
what happens,
But
and
let's take a break. Let's reset. I'm going to go do some aftercare, and then we'll spar in
'cause
another
you
few
got
weeks, I'm
fucking
sure.
gate.
awesome. See you later, man.
Bye, buddy.